In 1974, two psychologists set up an experiment on a bridge in Vancouver that accidentally revealed one of the most unsettling truths about human attraction. You have almost no idea why you're attracted to the people you're attracted to. Here's what they did. They had an attractive woman approach men on two different bridges. The first bridge was low, sturdy, and completely safe. The second was a narrow suspension bridge swaying 230 feet above a rocky gorge. After each conversation, she gave the men her phone number. The men who met her on the terrifying suspension bridge called her back at significantly higher rates than the men who met her on the safe bridge. The explanation is deeply uncomfortable. The men on the suspension bridge were physiologically aroused from fear, elevated heart rate, adrenaline, rapid breathing. Their bodies were in a state of high activation. When they met an attractive woman in that state, their brains misread the signal. They attributed the arousal to her, not to the bridge. They felt something that registered as attraction, maybe even as something deeper, that was mostly fear wearing a different label. This is called misattribution of arousal. And it is only the beginning of how badly the science of attraction destabilizes everything you think you know about desire. Let's start with what attraction actually is at a biological level, because it is not what most people assume. Attraction is not a single feeling. It is a cluster of neurochemical events involving at least 4 distinct systems: dopamine, serotonin, norepinephrine, and oxytocin, each playing a different role in different phases of what we experience as being attracted to someone. The racing heart, the inability to stop thinking about a person, the heightened focus, these are dopamine and norepinephrine, the same chemicals involved in obsessive-compulsive behavior. Early attraction is neurologically almost indistinguishable from a mild form of OCD. The brain gets locked onto a target and cannot easily redirect. Now here's where evolutionary psychology enters, and where the science gets genuinely strange. Attraction does not operate on conscious preference alone. A significant portion of it runs through systems so old and so automatic that your conscious mind never gets a vote. Take facial symmetry. Studies consistently show that humans across cultures rate more symmetrical faces as more attractive. Most people cannot consciously measure symmetry while looking at a face. They simply experience a preference they cannot fully explain. The brain is running a calculation in the background and delivering the result as a feeling. The logic, evolutionarily, is that developmental symmetry correlates with genetic health. Fewer mutations, fewer disruptions during growth. Attraction to symmetrical faces may be an ancient proxy for attraction to genetic quality, operating below conscious awareness in every interaction you've had with someone you found attractive. Then there's scent. The MHC, major histocompatibility complex, is a set of genes heavily involved in immune function. Research has shown that people tend to be attracted to the scent of individuals whose MHC genes are different from their own. The mechanism is thought to serve an evolutionary function. Offspring born to parents with different MHC profiles have broader, more robust immune systems. Your nose, without your knowledge or consent, is running a genetic compatibility screen on every person you get close to. This was demonstrated in a study where women rated the attractiveness of men's body odor from unwashed t-shirts. The men rated as most attractive by any given woman tended to have MHC profiles most different from hers. She had never met them. She couldn't see them. She was responding to something her immune system could detect, and her conscious mind could not. Hormonal state changes attraction in ways that are even more disturbing. Research has found that women's preferences for certain masculine features shift across their menstrual cycle, a finding that has been studied extensively. Though results vary by study and the effects are not as large or consistent as early research suggested, what is more firmly established is that hormonal contraception appears to shift baseline preferences in detectable ways, with some research suggesting women on hormonal birth control show different attraction patterns than women not on it, potentially affecting who they choose as long-term partners and how satisfied they feel in those partnerships over time. Your body is, quite literally, running a different attraction algorithm depending on its hormonal state. Now here's where evolutionary psychology and social reality collide in ways that are important to understand honestly. Cross-cultural research consistently shows average differences in what men and women prioritize in attraction. Men, on average across dozens of cultures studied, rate physical attractiveness and youth more heavily as factors in short-term attraction. Women, on average, weight status, resources, and ambition more heavily, particularly when evaluating long-term partners. These patterns are real. They are also averages across enormous populations, which means they describe group tendencies, not individuals. The variation within each gender is enormous. Individual preferences, cultural conditioning, personal history, and lived experience shape attraction in ways that frequently override these evolutionary baselines entirely. The pop science versions of evolutionary psychology often overstate these findings dramatically, presenting them as iron rules rather than soft statistical tendencies. The actual research is considerably more nuanced, and recent large-scale studies have failed to replicate several of the more dramatic claims about ovulation-driven preference shifts that circulated widely in the early 2000s. What the science does clearly show is this: attraction is multiply-determined. It is not one thing. It is the simultaneous output of genetic compatibility assessment, developmental quality signals, hormonal state, physiological arousal misattribution, early attachment patterns, and cultural conditioning, all running in parallel, all feeding into a single experience that arrives in consciousness as a feeling with no label attached to its origins. And this creates a problem that is both fascinating and genuinely dangerous, because we experience attraction as something that reveals truth about a person. This person is right for me. This person is special. This connection is real. When in many cases, it is revealing truth about our own biology and circumstance. You can experience intense attraction towards someone whose MHC profile happens to complement yours, whose face hits certain symmetry thresholds, whom you met while your heart was already racing from something else entirely, and whose status signals activated an ancient evaluative system in your brain. None of that makes the connection fake, but it does mean that attraction, by itself, is a poor guide to compatibility, to character, or to who will actually make you happy over time. The most consistent finding in relationship psychology is that the intensity of initial attraction is a weak predictor of relationship satisfaction. What predicts relationship satisfaction is something far less dramatic: the presence of mutual respect, shared values, and communication quality. None of these things necessarily announce themselves through attraction. Some of them are actively obscured by it. The experience of being intensely attracted to someone activates the brain's reward circuitry in a way that narrows attention and distorts perception. Early in attraction, the brain literally down-regulates activity in the areas responsible for critical judgment. You are, neurologically, less able to accurately assess a person's character when you are strongly attracted to them than when you are not. Evolution optimized this system for reproduction, not for happiness. The machinery of attraction was built to get you together with someone genetically compatible, not necessarily someone you'll build a good life with. Understanding this doesn't make attraction disappear. It doesn't make the experience less real, but it does change what you do with it. Attraction is information, genuine, biologically grounded information about genetic compatibility and physiological response. It is not, however, a verdict. And treating it as one is one of the most reliable ways to make consequential decisions with a brain that is temporarily operating with its judgment systems turned down. You are attracted to who you're attracted to for reasons you cannot fully see. That is one of the most human things about you. It is also one of the most important things to understand clearly.